Um, I've used this phrase so many times because it's the truth, and it applies to our first guest this morning, and that is having a great bench. We have a very, very deep bench of folks in different races on a state level, whatever state you are in the country, as well as on a federal level, and everything in between. We've got so many strong Democrats that are running for office, whether they be far left or moderate. We've got a team of people that want to see changes in the country. And with us this morning is one of those folks all the way across the country to the upper left, I'll say upper right side of the country, depending on how you're looking at the map. I like to have some fun with that. Matt Dunlap is the Maine state auditor, and he is just an avid Maine outdoorsman. But more importantly, he's one of those people that's fighting hard to make changes in the state of Maine, but also in the country. Good morning, Matt Dunlap, and welcome to Choose Views. He's running, by the way, for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District in Maine. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
So I see in the background, I got to ask you about this. The Pine Tree Trail, what is that?
Yeah. So it was actually a law that was passed in 1935 that designated rural routes across the state of Maine as the Pine Tree Trail. And it was forgotten with the installation of the interstate. And a fella found an old bent, rusted sign in the woods near his house. And they went back and they revived it and got the legislature to put the signs back. And I helped them out with the research, and they gave me one of the signs. So it was come meet us along the Pine Tree Trail back in 1937, and it was a big deal back then.
Well, my wife and I are avid hikers. We love to get out and do our thing anywhere in the country. And the story that I'll share with you, that I've shared with every person from Maine that's been kind enough to come on my show, is that I'm one of those few people that has visited, my qualifier, at least spent 3 days in every state in the United States of America. And Maine was my 50th state in terms of the states, of course. That also includes the why am I drawing a blank? Other than states, but of the 50, lower 48 and our other two, Hawaii and Alaska, Maine was my 50th state, and can't wait to come back. Had a ball there. We did all the things that a visiting tourist would do for 7 days, but we had a great time. So yeah, good to see you, man. I'm excited for your campaign. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how we've gotten to this point where you're now running for this seat in the 2nd Congressional District in Maine.
Well, and just as an aside, I also have a Chicago connection. My father grew up in Chicago. Yeah, my father grew up in Chicago. My parents met at the Art Institute of Chicago, and they moved to Maine in the early 50s.
Wow. So, yeah, was your mom from here too, or just your dad?
No, just my father. My mother was from Alabama.
Okay.
Went to school. My father was there in the GI Bill after World War II.
There you go.
He was in the service, and yeah. But anyway, the whole journey kind of begins there. Honestly, my folks were very devoted to public service and helping their neighbors, and I was working as a commercial cook, trying to make ends meet, and supervised a bunch of young people in a kitchen at the University of Maine, and one of our coworkers had run into some trouble paying her student installments, and we helped her out. And I thought we should have a fund, for student workers, and began shopping the idea around. And I had to really unpack this later on when I got to the legislature. It's like, how did I wind up here? Because I never had any designs on politics, and that was where it started, was trying to help that young woman out. And eventually I got talked into running for the legislature, and I did it for 8 years, and then 14 years as Secretary of State, and now halfway through my second term as auditor. And, just when you get yourself embedded in a community like the state of Maine, and people begin to see that you're a resource, people began suggesting to me that I would be a good fit for Congress. And people had gotten very frustrated. And what's really illuminated the way of this whole campaign is a very simple premise that our neighbors matter.
Yeah.
And what they need matters, and what they think matters. And they felt left behind, like nobody heard them. So the whole campaign, we've been building, a people's campaign around what people are facing and what they need. And the number one thing, of course, we hear about things like healthcare coverage, housing, the same things that people face across the country, childcare. And I just think it's time that, we retilt the playing field back in favor of working families, and be more aspirational in our approach to government. So that's where it started was, how can I help? And that's been the theme of the whole campaign.
Matt, one of the things that went through my mind when you were describing that is I thought about the motivation in terms of doing things. But right before you came on, we came on together. I was talking. I have the, something to chew on every day as part of the show. And today, I was thinking about this situation with LeBron James, who took a quote unquote lower contract to join the 76ers, et cetera, et cetera. And then I started thinking about that in relationship to the things that we do in our lives and beyond the compensation that we get for them. And it's the fact that we can do something that might impact somebody else's life, that might bring something to somebody else's sense of joy, the neighbor, that person down the street, that guy you see every day when you're heading to work and he's hoofing it to catch all those things. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. All those things that we see in our periphery, but we don't really laser focus in on. I think that someone like you, someone like me, and so many other millions of people across the country, hundreds of millions, frankly, that's a core part of all of us. And when we lean into that, man, is it powerful. And it sounds like that's part of what's driving you. That's part of some of the movement that's in your, in your push right now. Am I off base there?
Not at all. I mean, look, when you touch people, they touch you back. And they become a part of your life and become a part of your story. And when you talk to people about the campaign and say, look, you're trying to solicit support, and you're asking people for maybe $100, $200, and then they tell you why they can't help you. Mm-hmm. And what you hear back are stories of grace and courage. People are just facing what they got to face every day. And I think this is one of the things that I think really energizes me is when we talk, listen to the other side. Like, Paul LePage is my opponent.
Yeah.
He's part of that school where you demonize immigrants and, you talk about, job creators and, cutting taxes when really what people need is just somebody to stand with them and walk with them. Yeah. And I think that's what this has been all about. And, just getting into like the sheer numbers of it. I mean, Congress has cut the top nominal tax rate by 50% since 1978. And then they say we don't have any money for things like universal health care. We haven't touched the federal minimum wage since 2009. And they tell people they got to work harder. You can't get help unless you can't get like a Medicare or Medicaid because you're able-bodied and able to work. Well, maybe you're working 3 part-time jobs and you don't get any benefits. I think, that's the reality that people face on the ground. And I think what they really need is someone to understand that reality and respond accordingly. That's what Franklin Roosevelt did. That's what Lyndon Johnson did.
Just thinking about FDR. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about FDR. He had all the money in the world. He didn't need to do it for the money.
No, absolutely not. And I think this is what I think back on from when I was a kid, how aspirational we were.
Yeah.
That's when I was a kid was when we created things like the EPA, Meals on Wheels, public broadcasting, all the things that made our lives a little bit better. And the effort now is to take it all away. And I just disagree with that. I think we can do better by our neighbors. And that's what I'm fighting for.
One of the things that you said, and one of the reasons I think about FDR is it makes me think about my parents who grew up in the South, post-enslavement, one generation post-enslavement, and, lived through Jim Crow and all the hell that you can imagine growing up in southern Mississippi, and then part of the Great Migration to Chicago. I think about some of those great leaders, and that is the word that comes to mind, aspirational. I think that they knew that our country had its problems, and then that they may have contributed to them, and may have said and done some of those things that were biased and sexist and racist and all those things. Yeah. But what I saw through my parents' eyes was the desire to still make things better, and and he used the word aspirational, and a vision for a future that could be better. And I know some people look at that and sometimes say that's pie in the sky, but it is the pie that I'd rather have than the one that they're trying to serve us up right now, which is a much, much harsher pie. And we have to look at it through a realistic lens. Don't get me wrong. But I think that kind of energy going into campaigns right now is what's driving so many people. It's driving you. It's driving James Tallarico. It's driving the fight between the two, last standing in Michigan for the Senate seat with Dr. Syed and Haley Stevens. But I think at its core, it's about us moving things forward and trying to get to a better place than being dragged back. If there is anything that we want to go back to, it's some of the aspirational things that were from some of the great Democratic leaders in Kennedy and certainly with FDR. Sorry about that.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And Chris LePage was a former governor, and one of these things he was infamous for was he vetoed Medicaid expansion, I think 5 or 6 times.
Yep.
He actually withheld voter-approved Medicaid expansion funds, kept like almost 100,000 people off of health insurance. And all because for him, it was about the bottom line. For me, the bottom line is how we treat each other. And, my father, I talked about him a little bit, he went to the Art Institute and the GI Bill, and he felt so strongly about education for young people. When they came to Bar Harbor, Maine, back in 1954, one of the things he did was he started a Dollars for Scholars campaign. A lot of people don't remember Dollars for Scholars. You'd send volunteers out door to door with paper cups and collect loose change. And us kids would hang out in the high school cafeteria, and we'd sort out piles of pennies, nickels, and quarters. And then my father would give out a few $100 scholarships at commencement. And a $100 scholarship in 1972 was a chunk of change.
That meant something.
And it helped people. And I think that's, my parents had no money, but it didn't stop them from helping others.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lesson that I try to take forward in this campaign.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about some of the stresses that are coming from this administration in terms of tariffs and some of the things that are going on with regard to medical benefits. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Matt Dunlap and I are talking about his run for Congress in Maine. We'll be right back.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. If you were just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with Matt Dunlap, who is running for Congress in Maine's 2nd Congressional District. My kind of guy. Pops from Chicago and mom's from Alabama, and they decided to move to Bar Harbor, Maine, and build a legacy. Matt, Maine has definitely been in the spotlight probably more in the last 2 years than it's been in a long time from a political standpoint. Obviously, the Senate race there is created a lot of conversation that we need to have. But the one thing that stands clear is Donald Trump's tariffs have impacted certain parts of the country, every part of the country, but certain parts of the country maybe more than others. Talk about how the tariffs and now the Iran war, which Paul LePage still doesn't say where he stands in terms of supporting that. So I'm going to give you the baton, a couple things to roll into, but talk about the tariffs, talk about how that's impacted folks in Maine and how you want to try to, bend that arc a little bit differently.
Well, the first question is who pays the tariffs, right? It's not the people exporting stuff to the United States that pay the tariffs. We pay the tariffs. People who go to the grocery store, you go to the lumber yard, the plumbing supply store. That's where you pay the tariffs, and the cost of everything has gone up exponentially. The only thing that hasn't gone up, of course, is wages. And I think this is what people in Maine are really feeling, along with the Iran war, which, as you mentioned, Paul LePage won't say where he stands on the Iran war, probably because he was endorsed by Donald Trump and doesn't want to get cross-threaded with him. I only can speculate that because he hasn't said why he won't speak about the Iran war. But Maine is a big heating oil state. All of New England is very dependent on heating oil in the wintertime. And, here we are early August. People probably aren't thinking very much about the cost of heating oil, but it's double what it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always known plenty of people where I am in Old Town, just north of Bangor, and you'd see them in coffee shops getting their senior discount coffee, although they weren't there for the coffee. That was a nice side effect, but really what they were there to do is get warm because they had to shut their heat off during the day. And that was when heating oil was less than $2 a gallon. And now it's looking at $5, $6 a gallon. And these are people who are on fixed incomes. So it's the impact of the tariff hits, like you say, it hits everyone. It hits small business. We have a company in Old Town that does a lot of work for the military, and mostly in secure shipping. And the tariffs have driven up their costs 50%. Now, what's that eat into? It eats into their ability to grow. It eats into their ability to give raises to their employees, to provide health insurance. It hits people at a very, very personal level. Tariffs on their face aren't terrible. If you have a targeted tariff for a limited period of time to protect an industry from unfair competition,
right,
that's what they're designed for. But these blanket tariffs, which impact everything. A friend of mine was looking at buying a new laptop and held off because of the Canadian tariffs, drove up the cost by $200, which is, a lot of money for the average working person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's had a really, really serious impact. And I don't think the folks in Washington really understand just how seriously that impacts the working people of the United States.
Yeah, and whenever I think about it in terms of businesses, I look and say what you just said, that they can't. The business has got to spend more money for whatever it is, and then they've got to. And this is the people will say, well, yeah, but this only affects certain industry. No, if it's a service business that doesn't have a product that they manufacture that they have to buy as part of their business's income or outreach to its customers, it still has cost. And if electric costs have gone up because the grids are more expensive to run because they're less efficient, and that then gets passed on to the tenants that rent office space in those commercial office buildings, which means that the companies that run those businesses that are in those commercial office spaces, their rent may go up. Their cost of doing business goes up from that standpoint, which means that they can't pay their employees more money because we have these things called tariffs and then a war that's pushing those numbers even higher. So I think that this is where everybody has to stop and say it affects all of us in all categories because expensive is as expensive. So that's
well,
how,
I mean, and what's the target? What's the goal? And that's something we don't really ask enough of, was why the tariffs? Well, of course, President Trump has said early on that one of his great political heroes was William McKinley, who imposed some of the highest tariffs in American history. Well, back in the 1890s, that was how the federal government got its revenue, were through import duties. There was no income tax. So you start connecting these dots, that could be Trump's ultimate goal. And he said as much as reducing or getting rid of the income tax, which, only benefits the wealthy class to do that. So I think we have to be very wary of what these proposals will ultimately wind up doing for the structure of this country. Once again, giving the corporate class and the billionaire class more money, and the rest of us carry more of the freight through tariffs and other targeted taxes that affect working families. And of course, Paul LePage has said right along, he's all about the tariffs. Yeah. So I almost don't even have to debate him. He debates himself for me.
Well, so then talk a little bit about that. I definitely wanted to ask you that question. We haven't talked much about the competition. I don't like to give our good, strong Democrats. I don't want to give their competition any airtime because it's about you, Matt. But talk to us a little bit about, if you were standing in front of a room of 500 or 1,000 folks there, and the question was, Matt, what is it that makes you singularly different? What is the thing that when you go to Washington, it's going to be different about you than if Paul LePage goes to Washington from this district?
Well, I think what makes it different is that I'm not about me. I'm about my neighbors. That's what got me into this business. It's what's driven me. It's why people said, "Look, you're a good fit. You've always watched out for us." It was strange when I first announced the possibility of running. The response was unbelievable. And one of the first people to call me was Mike Mishu, who had this seat for 12 years. And he said, "Let me know what you need and I'll help you." And I said, "Mike, I have to think this is how frustrated people have gotten." And he said, "That's true, but don't forget, you've been around for 30 years. You've helped a lot of people and you've built a lot of goodwill, and people are fired up to have somebody who's going to speak for them and stand up for them and not just be about the title or be about making themselves more famous or richer." I mean, that's what happens a lot of times in Congress. They make themselves rich. I have everything I need. I have no reason to do this other than I want to help. I don't need another title. I could do a lot of different things and be home at 5 o'clock every night, having dinner with my family instead of out campaigning. But there's a draw to this that you don't find any other way. And that is when, I remember my first Constituent Service Act, when I helped a guy get a license he was looking for the same day. And I went to his house and handed it to him. And I'll just never forget the look of relief on his face. And that's when I realized this is what this business is about. Yeah. You go around Old Town Maine, and you ask people about Matt Dunlap, they can't tell you very much. They can't tell you what committees I was on, what bills I sponsored in the legislature. But man, they never forget what you do to help their kid. Yeah. And that's what we should be doing together as a community. And that's what makes me different, I think.
The phrase is, you've heard this, and I hope I don't botch it. It's not so much what you do for people, but it's how you make them feel. That is probably a more everlasting. And that sounds like the folks there have latched on or seen that part of you. How is in terms of the campaigning and getting home by 5? How is your wife Michelle feeling about all of this time you're putting out there now? And this, talk to us about how that's happening. What's happening?
Well, she's been an absolute rock. Man, did I marry up when I got together with her?
Don't we all? Don't all guys marry up at some point? We have to admit that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So. She's been there right with me through some of the toughest times I've ever had, both in terms of my political trajectory and just what we've been through together. And on this campaign, she drives me as hard as my campaign manager. She's like, you got to get out there. And when we started, she said, "I don't want to see you. I want you out there. If you're going to do this, you're going to run hard, and people are going to have a choice, and you got to be out in the world talking to folks, meeting them where they are, listening to what they have to say." And she's just been a tremendous source of support for the whole thing.
That's fantastic. Are you getting, as we wrap up, I have this question and one other to ask you before we wrap up. Do you feel like you're getting the support that you need from the other team members, I guess you could say, there in the state of Maine, and maybe even larger from the Democratic Party? Are you getting what you need from those entities?
Certainly in the state, absolutely. People have been tremendous. Of course, now you mentioned the Senate race. Now that that's settled down, we've been able to bring a little bit more focus to these other races, like the governor's race and my race. Mm-hmm. And people have been tremendous. The folks at the national level, they're coming around. We talk with them every day, and I think they've been watching what we do, and I think they feel pretty good. The fact that I'm leading in the polls, the fact that we've been raising money, and just nobody's going to outwork me. I'm on the road 7 days a week, so it's been going well, and those relationships are building and growing. So I think we're going to do very well with them.
Good. That's good. That's great to hear. What are you finding? Well, let's just say, what are you finding? What are you thinking once you get to Washington? You win this seat. What you're going to be that freshman, congressman. What's going to be that first thing you want to tackle?
Well, certainly getting some strong committee assignments that can help people, not just in Maine, but across the country, where I can have a strong voice and maximize my ability to hit the ground running. I mean, hey, I'm the state auditor. I can read a budget. One of the few things that I think I've ever been really good at is parliamentary procedure. I know Reed's rules frontwards and backwards, written by Thomas Brackett Reed, Speaker of the House in the 1890s from Maine. That's what Congress still uses. Yeah. So, I've got a lot of tools I can bring to bear right away. And it's going to take a while. We're not going to get universal health care overnight. But boy, the way to get something big done is to get started. And I'm ready to get started.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think a lot of people, and you've been campaigning, so you can speak to this, but a lot of people want to see this new Congress, if we take back the House, and if we take back the Senate. Either way, that they come in, and this is my phrase, Matt, not start by knocking over some tables, because we can't wait until the time is right. The time is past us, to be candid. And I'm hoping you're going to be one of those folks that goes to Washington and says, in my way, I'm going to knock over some tables and let's get started. I love your phrase. The way to do something, what was it? The way to get something big done is to get started. Is that how you said it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what the Republicans have shown us is that the old playbook is gone. We have to play by a different set of rules, and that's by asserting ourselves as a majority. If we get the majority and working for people and getting stuff done for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing with any person that I interviewed and had a chance to talk with, is that the reason that they're winning or that they're doing well in the polls, if not leading, is because we're finally listening collectively. That's not to say that individually folks haven't been listening that have run for office, but collectively, some of these races that we're winning that are off-year races and special elections, folks are listening, and the results are there because people are standing behind them. So that's exciting to hear that you're taking that same path. Matt, it's been great talking with you. I hope we get to do this again and again. And do us a favor and let our listeners know all over the country, because I'm a dotted line guy. We are connected all over, no matter if you're up in the upper right corner or if you're in the upper left corner of the country. Let folks know how they can find you and get involved in your campaign wherever they are in the country.
Sure. It's Matt Dunlap for uscongress.com. That's our website. And I've had some great conversations with folks in Chicago and around the country, and it just lifts me up. It feels like we're on the right track.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can feel that. So we want to keep putting some air underneath your wings and help you move forward. So thanks for taking some time to be with us, and hope you'll hang out with us again in the future. Sound good?
Sounds great, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk soon. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And thanks to Matt Dunlap for hanging out with us this morning. He is running for Congress in Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Get behind him and support the work that he's doing. We need him in Congress. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Tell me how you're doing. Really. Tell me that you missed the bus this morning, your rent's past due, and your stress level has skyrocketed. I'm here for you. To listen, not judge. To connect you to local mental health resources. No matter what you're going through, specialists like me from NAMI Chicago Helpline are here for you. Call or text Helpline to 833-626-4244. That's 833-626-4244.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call and click Grainger.com or just stop by.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump says new talks to wind down the war in Iran will start this afternoon. This came after Trump announced he was holding off on massive strikes at the urging of Gulf allies. Iranian state media, citing the country's foreign ministry, reported Tehran was not currently holding negotiations with the U.S. The talks are expected to focus on ending the conflict and reviving stalled cargo traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Israel struck the Gaza Strip over the weekend, days after the U.S. and Hamas said a deal was reached for the militant group to disarm. Hospitals in Gaza said at least 17 people, including children, were killed in the strikes. The Israeli military said the attacks targeted militant operatives. In Twin Falls, Idaho, police say the suspect in a fatal shooting at an In-N-Out restaurant died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities credited an off-duty officer and a citizen with firing shots that diverted the suspect. Investigators are confident that the gunman, identified as 24-year-old Chad Williams, acted alone during the shooting on Saturday. The AP's Donna Warder reports the suspect killed 3 people and injured 7 others.
Dominic Gonzalez tells KMVT he was in the restaurant with his 2 younger brothers when the shooting started.
And I was playing on my phone, then I heard a couple pops, and I look up and I see a gentleman walking from a white vehicle to another vehicle with a pistol in his hand. And he popped 1 shot at the vehicle, and that's when I ducked down, told my 2 little brothers to duck down.
Police found the body of the suspected gunman near the restaurant. I'm Donna Warder.
Wildfires in eastern Washington state have forced the evacuation of 60,000 people in the Spokane area. This is AP News. The AP's Lisa Dwyer reports on potential regulation changes for Head Start programs.
The Trump administration is reportedly planning a major overhaul of the Head Start program. Head Start was established in the 1960s and is a key early education program for low-income children. The proposed changes would replace more than 100 pages of regulations with a much shorter version, leaving specifics to state and local laws. The newly drafted rules could require more documentation from parents who are homeless or unemployed and could affect children of people in the U.S. illegally. Once the proposal is made public, federal law requires the administration to give at least a month for the public to weigh in on it. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The world's 3rd smallest country, Nauru, has changed its name to the Republic of Nauru, matching the spelling and pronunciation in the national language of the Pacific Island country. More on this story at apnews.com. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the lower 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 63. By Tuesday, sunshine high around 83 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Partial sunshine high around 82. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 64.
The Sports Cubicle. I heard a little rumor at some games you like to eat mustard packets?
It was my first exhibition game with the Winnipeg Jets. There are times, especially early in the season, some cramping issues. And in Columbus or Edmonton, where I'd been before, pickle juice was always on the bench. So I hollered for it, and the trainer told me pickle juice isn't here, but guys have had good luck with mustard. He threw me a packet of mustard. Lo and behold, the cramps went away. But I got caught doing it on the bench, went viral. It's nice to have a 14-year playing career and be famous for mustard.
The Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 on WCPT.
Hi, I'm Marcel Spears. Keeping our global neighborhood safe is a tough job, made easier by America's brave military dogs. These dogs keep our troops safe by sniffing out bombs and IEDs and locating enemy positions. Yet when these canine heroes retire, they're too often left overseas. American Humane works to bring these valiant dogs home and reunites them with their handlers for happy, healthy retirements. To learn how you can help, visit AmericanHumane.org.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu. Thanks for being with us this morning, and thanks to Matt Dunlap, candidate for Congress in Maine's 2nd Congressional District, for hanging out with us this morning. Okay, so I'll just get it out of the way. Excited and nervous can be in the same sentence when you're talking about talking with someone. Karen Hunter is someone that I'm excited to talk to and talk with, and nervous at the same time, because Karen is such a wonderful host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM. You guys have heard her, you've seen her, you know her work is just legendary. Karen, good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning. I'm on your program. You should never be nervous. I should be nervous.
No, that keeps you that keeps you on your toes. You know how that is. You always want to be ready to have some fun. And we both got big smiles on our faces this morning.
Yeah. I was going to say you were born ready, so I don't know what the problem is, sir.
That's right. See, there we go. Karen, it is great to talk with you. This is the first time, but I've had so many people following your work and all that you've done. It's just been great. And I saw this great segment that was, it just made me think of the same thing you talked about. And your story when you were on Who's Your Ma, Honey, you talked about your father's organizational prowess, and you talked about your mother's resilience, and then, what that led to in terms of your determination and your focus and all the things that you've done. Talk a little bit about what that's meant to you and where its place is right now in the country when we need so much of that at this time.
And that question, first of all, shout out to Terry Williams of One United Bank. It is Who's Your Ma Honey, which is, her Ma Honey was her grandmother, who was the banker, business person. And when she went to Brown, she never connected her success with that backwoods Southern, and she wanted to distance herself because she was a little embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she asked me if I would participate, I was like, I don't really have a story like that. I was like, I've always been proud of my people, and I've always, led with that. But it forced me to think about, why I am the way I am, which I don't spend a lot of time thinking about. I'm, heads down, just forward. And I appreciate her because I got to really talk about my mother. I don't talk about her enough. I talk about my dad a lot because he's not here. And sometimes we neglect the people who are here. So, it gave me an opportunity to shout out my mom and recognize that she is a driving force. And, as far as what I do every day, it's, I get up with a prayer, that I'm useful, that I don't do any harm, but that I'm pushing people to their better selves, because I think that's the goal here, right? Is to live this life at the best version of yourself. And I think too many of us have forgotten that. So I'm just here to tap, remind you, you have something to do.
We do. And I, in the earlier part of the show, I talked about the importance of recognizing sometimes what you do. I mean, I never want anybody to do something where they don't feel that they're adequately compensated and they're getting all the best that they deserve from a monetary standpoint. And at the same time, make sure that you are looking around to see the things that you know that need to be done in and around yourself, your community, starting with your home, of course, but the greater community down the street, and finding that other thing that allows you to be certain that you're giving back and certain that you're bringing some people with you along the way. And I think right now that's what so many, you and I both talk to people who are running for office, that are currently in office and have done a variety of different things. But it seems like right now, when we talk about the folks that haven't been talked to or haven't been listened to, is maybe a better way of putting it, that's what everybody's asking for, somebody to really, truly not only just reach out and help, but grab some folks and say, listen, we got you, and we're going to we're going to be here to help you get to that next step in your life. And I think right now we've never needed that more in our country. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of thoughts. First, I think our relationship to representatives has been not the proper relationship. I think we have elected people that we like. Mm-hmm. It's been a popularity contest. We've elected people that have shown up to our church, and we show up election day and we don't know half the people on the ballot. We haven't done any research. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest failure that we the people have done to ourselves is not ask and require and hold people accountable. It's not a relationship of here, you're running, do something for me. It's here are the things that I need you to do. Mm-hmm. And I think this goes for a lot of our lives too. Some of us don't even know what we need in our lives. So how are you going to ask a representative? And so I've challenged my listeners to walk their neighborhood. You live somewhere. Everyone listening, you live somewhere. What's needed? And then who's responsible for that? Because sometimes we want the president to do something that is a city council person's responsibility or a mayor's responsibility. We are yelling at the wrong people to come do this for me. And it's like, no, that's your alderman, which is in Chicago, your alder person. I think we don't, it's our responsibility to be more civically, not just engaged, but knowledgeable.
The knowledgeable part is true. And I think sometimes what happens is, and this is not meant to sound as an excuse, but it is people's reality. everybody's so caught up in going, and all the things that they're trying to do to survive financially and to keep that household running smoothly, those second and third, in some cases fourth jobs or whatever. And that gets them away from seeing the things that are going on in their community. And one of the things that I try to do, with the show is to say, listen, every now and again, just slow down and pull back your lens from the laser focus that you have every day. That laser focus is great, and we have to have it. But we also should give ourselves permission to pull back the lens and see the things from 180 degrees so that we can see what's going on in our community and know, oh, yeah, that street, that pothole that I've been bobbing and weaving every day on the way to work, that needs to be fixed. And I can make some phone calls. But where do I make those phone calls to get those fixed? That stoplight is never really working quite right. Well, I can't call Donald Trump or be upset with Donald Trump or the Democrats at large for that. That's something that happens right here locally. And I think that I love the way you put that. It's right there. We got to stop yelling at the wrong people about things that need to be done in a certain area. And then when we do yell in a way that lets them know, I shouldn't have to make this call 3 times or send this email 3 times for you all to get on point about getting this thing done. It's not that complicated. Am I right, Karen?
You're beyond right. I mean, and it doesn't take more than, you have to have a crew too. I think a lot of us, we've been imbued with this false narrative of rugged individualism. Rugged
individualism, yeah.
It's stupid. First of all, if I'm lifting a rock, can you help me? Was it easier to lift if it's 2 of us, 3 of us lifting?
And you might make a friend if you ask somebody to help you lift that rock.
Yes, the rock is so much lighter if it's 4 of us. I shared a story on the air. I lived in an apartment in a condo, and there was a guy selling drugs next door. Mm-hmm. And every day, it was increasingly the traffic of drug people nodding and stuff on the corner. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I held a meeting in my building, and there were 16 units. And I said, okay, at 8 o'clock, you're calling the police. At 8:30, you're calling the police. At 9 o'clock. And we called the police on 30-minute increments. Mm-hmm. I made an appointment with the police chief. And within a week, that guy was gone. And, we can have an argument about it, you shouldn't have somebody locked up. No, he's deteriorating our neighborhood. And it's one person.
Right.
One person. We got to get him up out the paint, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I didn't hold a march or anything. We just called the police every 30 minutes, and they were tired of coming. Let's do something about this, So I feel like, I don't talk out of, out of the recesses of my, I say off my dingleberries or whatever. I'm talking out of experience because, many of us haven't done anything. We talk a lot, but what have you actually done? And it doesn't require that much.
Yeah,
that's the same.
That's true. It personal responsibility, and folks don't get that. If you take that the wrong way, maybe you need to look in the mirror, which is we all want to be able to being responsible. Is really kind of a joy in many ways because it then lets you know how empowered you are to get things done. And saying I'm sorry or I made a mistake, I use the phrase on my show, Karen, clean up. I'm the king of clean up on aisle 7. I want to get it cleaned up and made right because I hate running around like, ooh, man, I like being that dude because then I know I'm taking responsibility. If I say something wrong or a little bit offbeat or whatever, I have no problem saying, oh, that's on me. I can clean that up. Because we get to take responsibility.
Sir, when did that become a problem? As if we aren't going to make mistakes because we are human.
Well, because a lot of it is, Karen, do you think, and not to interrupt, but do you think that some of that's because we're prone to we've been programmed in many ways as a society to think that making mistakes is bad?
Yeah, but where did that start?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
I was sharing. I don't remember learning how to walk, but I guarantee you that I probably fell a whole lot of times before I actually stood up and walk. We crawled and there were probably 1,000 fall downs before you learn any of you how to walk. And if that's how we learn to walk, then why is there a problem with making mistakes? The problem is staying in error. The problem is I'm wrong and I'm gonna double down on it. That's a problem. Fix that.
Yeah.
But making a mistake, I mean, every day you do live radio. God bless anybody that does live radio. You podcasters, thumbs up. You can edit your mistakes out. We don't have the luxury, so we're going to make mistakes. I bake it in. I invite my callers to correct us. My producer's always in my ear. That's wrong. Okay. Sorry. and we get it right, because that's the goal.
Well, here's something that you got right, and I'm going to give you your flowers, and then we're going to go to a break. First of all, congratulations on your honorary degree of Doctorate of Letters from where? Chicago State University, y'all. That happened back in May. Yes. And the second thing is, I'm going to put her business in the street, but it's because I care. Congratulations on the big joy of crossing the Big 6-0 earlier this year.
Oh, yes. How about that?
That's a big joy.
I got to live this long on this earth.
Yeah, my good friend Eric Grant, who hosts a show here on Sundays, the family meeting, he turned 60 on Friday, and I've been busting his chops about it. Man, you'd be proud as hell about turning 60. That's a great thing. We got to be 60. So
yes,
everything
and looking good,
looking good.
Baby, what?
Exactly. Karen Hunter, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kevin Love. Sony Pictures Animation's film GOAT is out now, and we've created something special to go with it. Inspired by the film, GOAT Beyond the Game is a free curriculum that gives kids creative ways to support their emotional well-being. Designed to help kids build their confidence, stay focused, and navigate their emotions, the program brings the film's core themes into the classroom through fun activities. These are evidence-based tools that actually work and will help kids discover they have the power to change the game. Visit kevinlovefund.org and download it today for your classroom or family.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. If you're just tuning in, Karen Hunter and I from the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM are chatting it up this morning. Karen, so talk to us a little bit about your, I don't know what to say it's hardest question, but what would be one of the questions that you've asked a guest over the years that was one of the most revealing things you found out about somebody, or things that you were just like, wow?
Positive?
Either way.
So I'm, because I do radio probably differently than most, and I don't come in with kind of a set of things that I want to get. Like, there's some hosts that they're trying to maybe corner somebody, or they're asking questions. I just really, want to get to know somebody. I want to know what motivates you to do the thing that you're doing. I want to get to know, how your background informs the things that you're doing. And I'm also, for my audience, I want to know who's full of crap. Mm-hmm. I want to know who's in it because they really care. And so the way which is why people get nervous coming on, because they don't know, I don't have any prepackaged questions. I'm going on, okay, I hit you with that. You didn't do this. And so I don't think I have a question or a revelation. I am surprised at how unprepared people are for having simple dialogue. Yeah. That's a shocker to me. Like,
is that because you think people may not have taken the time? You said this earlier, and I don't want to miss this. Getting to know who you are, meaning not Karen Hunter, but we as individuals, getting to know what's important to us, what really matters to us, who we are. Do you think that that's what causes some people to come on and not be ready to have just have a conversation moment?
I think if for example, you have a book out, your editor's telling you, or your PR people are telling you got to push the book. So 50,000 times you're going to say, like in my book, like in my book, in my book. And I'm like, ma'am, sir, the reason why people are going to buy the book is because they are connected to you. Mm-hmm. Make us connected to you. Give us a reason to be connected. Nobody, and it's my job as a host to make sure that they know that your book title and all, they come on with that. So they're pitching something, or they have a business and they're pitching something, or they're running for office and they have their stump speech. But if I'm electing you, we're going to take callers. Governor Moore was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and people called up. And I appreciate, I'm not, fanning out over anybody, but I appreciate you coming in, no pre-packaged anything, because I don't do that anyway. So you're not going to know what I'm going to ask you. And you're going to take callers from your constituents. You're going to take calls. And this is I think the assignment. We're here to engage with people. I'm surprised at that, but I think so many of us are packaged. We are packaged individuals. We have gone to, the school of, media training, and we know, we're here to pitch a movie or a book or whatever. And so we're going to stay in this lane. And so a lot of celebrities don't come on because, I may wreck their career because I'm going to ask them a question, and if they get really real and comfortable, maybe they don't get the next job. But I think that to me is the wrong, because I'm not here to leg sweep anybody.
Yeah. It's interesting. When I was putting together my question of the day and then my something to chew on a little bit that I do earlier in the show, the backstory for me was, I knew talking with you that's sort of your cadence with folks. It's like, look, we're just going to have a conversation. It's going to get real. And oftentimes doing the thing you want to do doesn't match up with doing the things you have to do, and vice versa. But at some point you have to find your way, because then that's the true you. And that's one of the things that so many people appreciate. As much as they may fear it when they come on as a guest on your show, they really do appreciate it, because I've watched and listened and gone, yeah, she helped them sort of cross that bridge of just being who they are. And you know what I mean? That's something that's important. I think that's an opportunity for us to help other people get better connected with who they are and what's really important to them. So that's why I wanted to ask you that question.
But you asked you earlier in the show, you mentioned, people are busy and they have these things to do and they can't really focus on the things. But the irony is, if you elect better people, you won't have to work as hard. Mm-hmm. If you are more civically engaged, perhaps there'll be a basic income. Perhaps there'll be, because we shouldn't have to work 3-4 jobs to make a living. We shouldn't have grocery prices as high and not be able to go on vacation and not be able to send our children to daycare. This is not normal, and this is not right. And it's not right because something is broken. And so if you don't get involved in fixing the thing that's broken, then you're going to be working these 3 or 4 jobs and complaining about why you don't have any time. So it's almost like sometimes you got to make that little sacrifice right here. And you said something else about the money, and people building these brands and things. And you didn't use that term, but I was thinking about what animates me. And fortunately, I don't do, and it sounds like probably Pollyanna, but I don't do this for the money. They couldn't pay me enough for the amount of time and energy that I put into this. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not
yes,
enough.
I do.
And so, when I see people with these contracts, I don't envy that, because I know with those contracts also comes not just the expectation, but some golden handcuffs, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
And I think the goal of everybody listening is to be free, the freest version of yourself that you can be. And what does that look like? It's doing the thing that you love doing, making enough money to be able to live your life. And some of us need to not chase what they put in front of us, because that's the trick bag, right? Yeah. The car, the house, the this, the bag, the shoes, the that, and we're both, I see how we're both dressed. You shouldn't have to chase that to live a good life. And I think that's the flip.
LeBron took this new contract with the Sixers. Less money, still big money, but less money than what he's gotten in his career, from his rookie contract. But the reason, from what we're seeing, is that he wants to win another championship. And here's the other cool thing about it. He's bringing some young cats along, young cats in terms of their time in the league, to potentially win a championship, which they've not done. I think that's a cool thing. He's going to get criticized for but he's chasing it for a reason that's his, and that may bring some other people along the process. That's how I see through it. I see it as like, okay, he recognizes he's in this golden years of his career. What can he potentially do to get one more notch in the goodness of what he's been trying to do in the league, and reach more people outside of the league? So I don't know. I guess I look at it from an aspirational standpoint sometimes.
Well, I can't say anything bad about LeBron. I love me some LeBron James. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
I said if he went to play for the Timbuktu Tigers, I would be a Timbuktu Tiger fan, because I love his sensibility as a human being and how he has grown as a man that didn't have a whole lot of people in his life. So he wanted to be all of the good father, the good husband, all of the things that he didn't necessarily see around him, and then served his community. I love that about him. But he also, Mr. Chu, has the luxury to take less.
Right. No, I don't. I don't forsake. Right. Without a doubt. I don't live.
That's like Bloomberg saying, "I'm going to take $1 as mayor, sir."
Right.
Poland.
Yeah, I mean, we know how they have to work the numbers and make it work to get the teams together. But the fact that he did it that way, I hear it loud and clear. It's not that he has to worry about that. He's just, go do his thing. Karen, let me ask you this question. We talk about something that's behind you. You guys who may not see this, if you're not watching it on Facebook or on YouTube, Karen's got a bevy of books behind her. What was it like for you to be co-author with some of the people that you've helped with in writing books, from LL and the list is long, y'all. But so talk to us real quick about that.
I was just talking with a friend of mine, Tracy Sherrod, who was a senior editor at Pocketbooks, at Henry Holt. And we're putting together a publishing entity, and I'm working with a celebrity right now on a book. And she was like, baby, I don't know how you did that back then. If I really have to sit and think about all of the books I did with these people in my 20s, I will say that I was probably crazy. I'm talking 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, every night, writing LL Cool J at the Daily News, using my boss's office, ordering their pizza, sitting there all night, going out to Jersey and hanging out with Queen Latifah's mom, rest in power, Miss Owens. Just that was, and then having a full-time job, right, and then starting a business. And then, I can only say that I was in my 20s and then early 30s, working with, Wendy Williams and others, Janet Jackson. I can't answer that question because I it's like, and let me just give you a little insight. I'm somebody, I think I'm addicted to doing things. So it may be a sickness. So I will confess to that. And once I'm done, I'll move on. I never look back. I never look back to sit. And that's been one of probably my failures as a person, is I don't sit and smell the flowers and lament about all of the things that, it's like there's something else to do.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Take that word failure out of the conversation, because it hasn't been a failure by any stretch of the imagination. It's been a gift to so many people who've been a part of your world. I'm glad I got to be a part of it this morning, and I'm looking forward to being able to do it again. Karen, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Stay safe, and we look forward to doing this again.
Have me back.
Well, I'm going to. All right. I'll be on your show, too. Let's get that done.
Yes,
all right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Karen Hunter, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Richard Chew. This is Chew's Views. We'll be right back.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Hey Progressives, it's Richard Chew, host of Chew's Views, weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive so we can restore some sanity and much needed oversight to our government. In fact, it's the most important midterm election in American history, and Chew's Views will be in the thick of it, bringing you candidate interviews on a regular basis. I'll be talking to Democratic Party hopefuls running for House and Senate at the federal and state level, as well as candidates for governor and other state and local offices.
I am in love with our ability to fight for our rights, to fight for our future, to fight for our freedoms, to fight as our ancestors fought. It's just our moment. This is just our time to stand up and to speak up. We can't give up on this.
If you miss any of the interviews live, you'll be able to find them all on WCPT's candidate interviews page at heartlandsignal.com/candidates. That's Choose Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years.
When you've got real work to do, Metal Supermarkets will help you get it done fast. We've got a huge variety of metals in stock, and we cut to size fast. Bottom line, we get it done fast, so you get it done fast. Doesn't get easier than that. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for metal. Find a store or buy online at metalsupermarkets.com.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the lower 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 63. By Tuesday, sunshine, a high around 83 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Partial sunshine, high around 82. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 66.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. We got something for you that Devin's going to play real quickly.
I want to find common ground of how much Donald Trump is. We can get there, okay? What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize that in 2024, because Donald Trump hasn't. 24. Because Donald Trump hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so what I want to know, though, is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have with your personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians. It's always other, Nick, with you. It seems to me. And I've listened to a lot of the stuff. It's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 2024.
Okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews. It's before, remember, all of us, it was the Irish Catholics who were all committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans. They were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What white culture are you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white culture.
How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was written by a black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because you're picking out one example. It really is.
I'm not just picking out one example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey, guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock in a hard place. Let's talk about Israel.
Okay. So, in case you didn't recognize, first of all, that's from Real Good Politics. But in case you didn't recognize the voice, that was Hunter Biden. And by the way, you're probably going to hear some Hunter Biden clips from me over the next few days and weeks, and they'll be edited as best we can because Hunter has definitely got a bucket of salt in his verbiage. So we'll have a few more Hunter Bidens, but that one is when I listened to it, I watched it, and I'll send it to you guys because there's some video that's in the back or background of what's going on there. I'll send it to you. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com, and I'll send it to you. What Hunter Biden does there, and it's a couple things. One of them is he does not let the other guys interrupt him. He keeps talking. He keeps making his point. And I think we have to do more of that. When we have a point to make when it comes to people that are opposing us right now, yeah, we want to listen. But don't let them try to derail you with their garbage, because that's what Hunter Biden was pulling apart, was the garbage of the rationale that folks like Nick Fuentes have used for a decade to justify their behavior when it comes to voting, not just for and supporting not just Donald Trump, but all of the GOP. Hunter Biden it's a masterclass in my mind in that moment of saying, what the hell was wrong with you? How could you not have seen this? If you couldn't see it, then you shouldn't have a voice. And if you did see it and you ignored it consciously, then you really shouldn't have a voice, and you're actually a bigger problem. That's what I saw there. That's what I heard there. That's what I felt there. It was a guy who's been thrown under the bus and run over by all the tires, and yet he still survived. And in the great words of Elton John, I'm still standing. That's who Hunter Biden is right now. And I'm going to be playing more of his clips because he's standing up for what he believes in, the people that he loves, his family, this country, all the rest. And he's giving it to people. He's giving it to folks. And when he goes after Nick and basically talks about the fact that your platform has been exclusion, your platform has been blaming others, your platform has been, it's their fault. Going back to what Karen and I were talking about, and this is the reason I wanted to layer this in. They're not, the folks on the right, collectively, I don't see any of them taking responsibility for a damn thing. They're not taking responsibility. Nothing. They're dodging and weaving and all this stuff, but they're not taking responsibility. They're not being the so-called smartest, strongest, biggest, baddest people in the room. They are failing at taking responsibility. And that's what Hunter Biden was pointing out in my interpretation. He was saying to Nick Fuentes and all those like him, you all believed in this stuff or you let it pass. And now that you got caught, you've suddenly got religion or something. Now that you realize that the clock, see, this is what's happening. The reason that they're subtly, in some cases, walking away from Trump, particularly those that are in right-wing media or right-wing podcasts, is that they know that their days are numbered. And let me tell you why, Devin. They know that when he's gone, they ain't got nothing to talk about. They have nobody to prop and support because they're not going to get behind J.D. Vance. They're not going to get behind Marco Rubio. And who else? That's why a lot of these people are kind of abandoning ship. They're doing it, I believe, because they realize that when Donald's gone from being the president, all he's going to be is this old man whining and complaining and boo-hooing about stuff. And they are going to look even further stupid by being behind him. So the Nick Fuenteses of the world and others are recognized. The Megyn Kellys, and every now and again she'll raise up her witchy wand and say something about Trump or somebody else, even Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's because they know that when that tank runs out, that they're not going to be able to refill it. And that is going to then sort of manifest their destiny when it comes to what their effectiveness can be and who's going to listen to them. At some point, the Nicks of the world aren't going to have anything to say because they aren't going to have a person that they can latch their parachute onto and get carried by their draft. Not going to happen. Hunter called it out. How could you not have seen it? Well, they saw it. They just realized this is a meal ticket for me. Does Nick Fuentes really believe in the garbage that he spouted? I don't know and don't really care. But what we do know is Hunter Biden is nailing them. He's nailing them hard, and I'm loving every minute of it. Every time I see him now, he's just like, no, I'm going to call it out. No, I'm going to say the thing that I feel like saying about what you've done and how you've been. And yeah, I just, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely freaking great. Today is August 3rd, and for those listening to WCPT today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and then talking to Pat Kreitlow, founder and editor of Up North News, ahead of Tuesday's primary election in Wisconsin. Joe Cunningham, former congressman who now serves as spokesperson for the Pharmaceutical Reform Alliance, and he'll discuss the PRA's new report on Big Pharma and drug prices. Rex Hupke, USA Today columnist, that's Live, Local, and Progressive, here on WCPT 2 to 5. Joan Esposito, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty will be joined by Austin May, candidate for McHenry County Board District 5. That is Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website. Tune in, and YouTube and Facebook. Let's grab a quick call. I think Mary Pat's been holding for a minute. Let's see what Mary Pat's got to say. Good morning, Mary Pat. How are you?
Good morning, Richard. I'm doing well. The sun is shining, and it's beautiful in Chicago.
Yes, it is. What's going on?
Well, I'm hoping to get some pointers here. I live in a village where the Hawthorne racetrack is, and it was just sold to a mysterious shell company out of Delaware. Nobody knows what they're going to do with the land, but the nasty rumor is that they want to build a data center on that parcel of land. And tomorrow night I'm going to attend the village board meeting in Stickney, Illinois. It starts at 7 p.m. And, I don't know enough about data centers other than I've heard that your electric bills, double or triple once they're in place, and that there's a possibility that they could pollute the water. And then, of course, there's the noise pollution from all of those hard drives running. So I just wanted to put it out there. Any tips, ask for any pointers on how to handle this reasonably, to live with my neighbors who might be for this, thinking it's progress. And, I know that it's been a problem, and I've been reading articles, and I just thought I'd put that out there.
Mary Pat, yeah, I mean, we're all trying to navigate through what is going to what data centers are going to do to our communities. We're all working through that. Let me give you one quick resource to use, although it's not specific to Illinois. It's someone that is an organization I think could help you find some information, and then I want to share a couple other thoughts. Go to General Russell Honore's website, Green Army. There's a lot of information. Green Army, yeah. And if you forget, just send me an email and I'll remind you and I'll send you the link. But his organization, Green Army, is really doing a lot of work down in Louisiana to help when it comes to this conversation about data centers and the environment at large. That's one source I can quickly think of to send you to. The other thing I would maybe suggest is, do you know who the congressional leader is, or what district that area is in that you're talking about, that you're going to this meeting?
Our United States congressional representative is currently Chuy Garcia.
Okay, so let's start there by contacting his office. I know that district is up for election. I mean, we had Ms. Garcia on a few weeks ago, but I would start by contacting that district office and get them on board, or at least find out what they're doing through that district in terms of navigating this concern with the data center. Let's start there, okay?
Okay.
And then second to that, I might say in whoever the heads of the communities are in that district, because it's made up of a couple of towns other than just Chicago, correct?
Correct. It's Cicero is right next door to this racetrack parcel, then the village is Stickney and Berwyn, and both the city of Berwyn and the town of Cicero passed policy resolutions at their latest town board meetings opposing the construction of a data center.
Okay, so let's start. So that's another tool that you can use. Let's go with the leaders of those respective communities. I would get their information. I don't have it readily available right in front of me right now, but I would suggest that you contact those offices of those towns, and the mayor's office of each of them, or whoever the leading voices are, and start to build just do what Karen Hunter talked about a moment ago, or what Matt talked about earlier, is start to build a coalition of people that are right there that are opposing this. And if there's been some legislation already in place, then lean into that as well, because that at least says that the folks who are elected are trying to do something specific on this topic. Does that make sense, Mary Pat?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. And anybody who recognizes my voice that is in my zip code, village board meeting, Stickney, Illinois, 7 p.m. tomorrow. I'm encouraging my neighbors to show up and start watching, make it clear that we're watching what's going on.
Absolutely. All right, Mary Pat. Well, listen, drive carefully today. Enjoy the sunshine in Chicago. And do me a favor, if you don't mind, maybe on Thursday or Friday, anytime later this week, give us a call back to talk about what happened at the meeting and what were some of the things that you may have picked up, okay?
Great. Okay.
All right. We'll be here for you, Mary Pat. Be well. Good to talk to you, all right?
Thanks. Okay.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to grab some more of your calls. I promise you that. So sit tight. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views. We'll be right back.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at USO.org today.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for. Open 7 days a week.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure. Take it for a spin.
There's no fees and minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One and member FDIC.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. Thanks for hanging with us. Mary Pat is always on point, y'all. She's always doing something. She's involved. She's doing what Matt said earlier, Matt Dunlap in Maine, and what Karen Hunter said, and that's taking some personal responsibility and getting involved in the process. Let's take a couple quick calls. Let's go to Cynthia, I think out in Denver. Is that right?
Good morning. Listen, I really enjoyed your conversation with Karen Hunter about personal responsibility. I live in an HOA environment, and I don't know, do you guys have Nextdoor out there that is like a platform where neighbors can talk to each other about issues?
We may, but do me a favor when we're done. Email me at richard@WCPT820.com. I'll do some research. I'll check around and see what we can come up with. Would that be okay?
Well, my point is it's not about next door. It's about personal responsibility. I find that a lot of folks, they just want to complain and not really take on the issue at hand by contacting, their leaders or, our community reps and what have you. There used to be a time, Richard, when you could call the police and, they would take over and do a lot of things, but that's not the case now. I encourage folks to take video of their issue, email it, to the proper contact person and follow up with them, a couple of times to show interest in what you're concerned about. I just find that really strange that a lot of folks, and I don't think it's my generation, I think it's my daughter's generation, unfortunately.
Well, the thing that I'll say is that, and I try really hard not to do this, is to point too many fingers at what the others are not doing, because then we become the same thing that we're saying we don't like, which is to be the ones complaining about the others. But I get your point. Don't get me wrong. I get your point. We have a huge opportunity. Your original point, Cynthia, about taking responsibility, I think it's empowering, frankly, on any level. It's empowering to say, wait a minute, I can do something about this. And I'm going to do something about it. And you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like right now, that seems to be what a lot of, because the entire GOP is not about taking responsibility. They're blaming everybody. They're blaming every other entity about everything that's going on that's wrong. And case in point, Trump's primary cabinet members, who do they blame when they're in a hearing? They blame Obama and Biden. The next thing you know, they're going to turn around and start blaming Clinton. They're going to turn around and start blaming Jimmy Carter. They blame everybody else. They don't take responsibility.
Right.
So,
the thing that I find interesting is that people that didn't used to that didn't take personal responsibility or didn't pay attention to issues, now that everybody is being squeezed, financially, boy, they are squawking like crazy. And it is empowering, to give out solutions, who to contact, where to contact. But I was just surprised surprised every time that there's so many people that don't feel empowered. It's not so much me pointing fingers, it's that I don't know where this group comes from. I don't know.
I don't know if I have an answer specifically or the right answer. I'm going to tell you what I feel about that. It's something that I said with Karen Hunter. There's a lot of people that over time, unfortunately, Cynthia, have been, to say beaten down is not really the word I want to use as for impact. They've been robbed in some ways. They've been made to feel over and over and over again with messaging from so many different sources that they don't matter. Okay? And by virtue of that, they then unfortunately get caught going down the path that it doesn't really matter. My vote doesn't count. If I say something, ain't nothing gonna get done about it. But you know the rhythm, and that's across many communities and cultures. I mean, there's our brothers and sisters that live in white-dominated Appalachia, and that folks that live in other parts that they're feeling that same thing, that they've been beaten down, they've been put down, they've been talked down to for such a long time.
Well, and I agree with that. I'm a black woman in Colorado. There's not that many of us that are out here. So I have felt certain times in my life beaten down. That is a great word, because life will beat you down. There's no doubt about that. But then it circles back to personal responsibility and character. What's our character? I'm stubborn. So when I feel beaten down, it's like, oh no, I'm coming back, and I start researching and trying to get ahead of whatever is going on with me. And I just, I'm going on vacation next month. When I come back, I'm going to look at how I will spend the rest of my life, because I'm 68, and I might want to start classes that connect the dots from what's happening politically to, your individual life. Because Karen was right. When I was raising my kids, I never worked 2 and 3 jobs. That was an insult to me, and that was like in the 80s and the 90s, you know. And if I did work a part-time job, it was to get extra vacation money. So to see folks really grappling, there's some real eye-opening information, that people need to hear. And, it starts with our government, politics, why they don't want to raise the minimum wage, and
I hear you. Well, listen, Cynthia, thank you for your call today. You know where to find us. Don't be a stranger. Give us a call back. When you get back from vacation, if not before, give us a holler so we can help you with that plan.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's see who we got. Let's quickly go to John in Hoffman Estates. Hey, John, good morning. Welcome to the show. We're going to try to get you in before we wrap up today. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Richard? Hey, I was just telling the producer, man, we need to go after Fox, go after Newsmax. We know where these people come from, man. We know what they're all about. They're a bunch of liars. They've been lying for years. And it's the same thing. I looked at this News Nation that just came on. They had Bill O'Reilly. Why you hiring the same liars back on TV, man? We got black guys out there with no jobs, like my man Don Lemon, that tells the truth. And, I got upset with Chris Coleman there because I thought they guys was good friends at the time, man.
Yeah.
So why you ain't bring Don Lemon back over there? Or Roland Martin?
They were until they weren't. And here's what happens with those guys. And I think you know this, John. Don and April and Miss Hart and Roland, they all spoke that truth that the C-suite can't hear. When they hear it, they got to do something about it, and typically it's to let that tough voice go because they're worried about what their sponsors are going to have to say about it. They're worried about what the other the guys at the country club are going to say. Why you still got Don Lemon on? That's what it is. Let's just call it as it is, not dodge from it. Frankly,
you're right, brother. You're right. I mean, man, it picks me off when they put these clowns back on TV and they destroying our country.
Yeah,
and they want just black people to just get in line. There ain't no line no more, Richard. I'm a black veteran. Hey, I ain't getting in line. I'm calling every day. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to my man Tom Hartman because you guys tell the truth, and I would be on WCP every freaking day speaking the truth about this white supremacy. we need to get that stuff out there.
Let me give you a new word that I'm going to be introducing again, because I'm putting together some stuff that I'll get to and talk to you. It's white inferiority. It's not white supremacy.
Right.
All right, John. Keep that one in your pipe and smoke it soon. We will talk again, okay?
All right, my brothers.
All right, man. Be well. Talk to you soon. Let's go to Al in Franklin Park. Good morning, Al. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard. I could say a bit about the last conversation, but I'll just stick with data centers for right now.
Okay.
And one of the things with data centers is that Illinois has done a lot of work to put together a bill to regulate data centers. And I think on one of your shows there, they're going to try to bring that bill up again in the fall veto session. And that bill has lots of stuff in it. It's a leading bill, asking how much water they're using, how much energy they're using, whether or not they have, they recycle the water. And I mean, I saw the bill, and it is pages and pages and pages long. And so it does a lot of work and would be, leading the nation. So that's just something that to be aware of. And I guess I don't have the bill name or whatever. Like a couple of months ago, Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action, one of their climate programs in the evening, did a video on this, talking with these people, and it's pretty good. Maybe I'll try to find that and email it to you.
That would be good.
They covered the bill. I have links to the bill someplace.
Why don't you do this then, Al? Why don't you, if you can grab it, send it to me, and then I'll do my best to talk about it, that link and anything else in this topic, because it is a big one that a lot of people are concerned about. Al, thanks for being with us this morning. Appreciate your call as always. Thanks for your contribution. We got to bounce. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Thanks to Karen Hunter. Thanks to Matt Dunlap, who's running for Congress in Maine. What can I tell you? Maine's a story right now. Well, so is Michigan. Other places are. Thanks for being with us, you guys. Stay tuned for Stephanie Miller's show. Stay tuned for Joan Esposito. Stay tuned for Patty Vasquez. And remember, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call and click Grainger.com or just stop by.
AP
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. President Trump says another round of talks with Iran will start today, even as Iran denies such meeting is taking place. It all comes after Trump halted new airstrikes on Iran over the weekend, citing fresh talks set for today. Police in Idaho believe armed bystanders kept a mass shooting from being an even bigger tragedy. More from Rory O'Neill.
The shooting spree at an In-N-Out Burger in Twin Falls could have been much worse if an armed Good Samaritan and an off-duty state trooper didn't intervene. That's the opinion of the local police chief, who says the bystanders opened fire on the shooter, helping to drive him away from the scene. The 24-year-old gunman used an assault-style weapon to kill 3 people and injure 7 more before taking his own life. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Cuba is again in total darkness following a complete collapse of its national power grid. The latest from Natalie Rodriguez.
The state-run electric union reports a total system failure, cutting off power to 10 million people. The nationwide blackout comes just 24 hours after a massive regional outage first crippled the western provinces, including the capital of Havana and Matanzas. Officials say the failure has now cascaded across the island, knocking out electricity to other major cities like Santa Clara and Santiago de Cuba. Severely aging infrastructure and critical fuel shortages are being blamed, with no word yet when the lights will turn back on. Natalie Rodriguez, Miami.
Spokane, Washington remains under serious threat from massive wildfires. Mayor Lisa Brown says hundreds of homes have been destroyed and there's still the possibility lives may have been lost.
To the people who are suffering right now in our region from either loss or uncertainty, everyone here, our hearts go out to you. We are here for you for the long term.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the lower 80s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 63. By Tuesday, sunshine, high around 83 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Partial sunshine, high around 82. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 70.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere. From dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed. Sponsored by Armstrong Pharmaceuticals.
The Sports Cubicle. I heard a little rumor at some games you like to eat mustard packets?
It was my first exhibition game with the Winnipeg Jets. There are times, especially early in the season, some cramping issues. And in Columbus or Edmonton, where I'd been before, pickle juice was always on the bench. So I hollered for it. And the trainer told me pickle juice isn't here, but guys have had good luck with mustard. He threw me a packet of mustard. Lo and behold, the cramps went away. But I got caught doing it on the bench, went viral. It's nice to have a 14-year playing career and be famous for mustard.
The Sports Cubicle. Sunday nights at 9 on WCPT.
How do you know you're home? At Habitat for Humanity, we believe it's when you find peace, stability, and safety. But 1 in 3 people on Earth woke up today without a good home. Not because of chance, but because of high costs and other very real barriers. A housing crisis this big needs all of us. So let's open the door to opportunity and build a tomorrow where home is possible for everyone. Visit Habitat.org to learn more. Again, that's Habitat.org. Habitat for Humanity. Let's open the door.
The Sports Cubicle. Economics professor at Smith College, Massachusetts, Andrew Zimbalist.
When Chicago is approached, or Illinois is approached, for new public funds to build yet another stadium, it shouldn't be, hey, this is going to be an economic boon for the city. It's not going to be. It should be, how much is it worth to us culturally to keep these teams here?
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT. The Sports Cubicle.
I could say the Bears' all-time leading scorer. I could say 18-year NFL veteran. But for now, I think I'll just say he's the head coach at Rolling Meadows. He's Robbie Gold. What made you go from playing football to coaching?
I was coaching another high school. Fell in love with coaching. Football is a part of who I am, but it's also an opportunity for me to be able to give back and give these kids an opportunity at Rolling Meadows High School to understand what they could do as a group.
The Sports Cubicle. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
Hey,
it's the Paulacious one. I'm up on the transmitter trying to power us up so you can hear us on 820. But if you can't hear us on the radio, you can also hear us on heartlandsignal.com, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn Radio app, and SoundCloud.com/WCPT820. It's the Sports Cubicle, 9 p.m. on Sundays on WCPT. Whoa!
The Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.